Can you hear me? Welcome to the stream.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Is it live?
It is live. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube. I have no idea how many people are tuned in, but you're here. How are you?
Amazing. Good to see you. Woo.
Oh,
Exciting.
the
I'm so
pleasure.
glad that I'm ready. I got ready before this.
I love it. I'm looking forward to talking to you. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'd love a little intro to you, right? I know that we've spoken off camera,
hmm
and we've had a bit of a conversation, but for the stream, for everyone listening and watching, who are you? What are you building?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Yunsu Tang. I'm a two-time founder and a two-time TEDx speaker. I'm originally from Hong Kong and now I'm based in London. So 2 years ago, I left everything that I've built in Asia and left the corporate world to move to London to do my master degree in management of information systems at the LSE. And yeah, I have been in London and I have been in the startup scene ever since.
I love it. How's it like building in London compared to Asia at the moment?
hmm I think it's interesting because um, I think, to be honest, I think there are more AI talents here in London. I can see that, like I'm learning all the time when I'm going to, AI events. I think, the approach to, let's say, building a product can be a little bit different. I think Asia is very growth driven. Especially if you look at China, right? China has 1.4 billion people. So a lot of times when you're thinking about building a product, it's about, oh, how can we scale really quickly? And if you see, what I notice is that if you see some of the most successful, let's say, companies coming out of Asia, it's very much like B2C focus. And, I don't think it's all about building a beautiful product, let's say, in that part of the world. That's my opinion, right? But then I think, when I go to different events, meeting up with different startup people. I think people are really obsessed with the detail, which I really appreciate because it's really about how, okay, we can build these beautiful products that our users or our customers genuinely love and they really want to use. I think I believe in this approach more. It's just a personal point of view. Yeah.
I think design is more and more important today than ever before. And we're in a situation where we don't want just these very utility focused applications. We want these lovely experiences as we move towards hardware where maybe we're not typing and we're just talking, right? Like,
hmm
how do we prep for that? Like you mentioned, building product in Asia is very growth orientated versus the UK, which is the finer details and building a great experience. Like, how does that bleed into what you're building?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think for me, like, I took the time to do my master degree to make sure that, I can be the, I want to be the right person to fill in the gap, between what we said academically is a system thinking world and the real world. And I always wanted to make sure that, I wanted to put my customers and my users first. And that's the approach I believe in because I do think that, when we are doing something, we should think in the long term, how we can actually, I think at the end of the day, it's the products and also the people that will keep the company going. And you can go through a lot of ups and downs together. But no matter what, I think people and products are the core. That's what I believe in. And yeah, like so now my company is called Synchro. It's my second startup. It's a stakeholder intelligence tool. We synchronize data from multiple sources, including policy announcement, relevant news, and social media data to generate insights. It is very close to what I used to do as a job at FGS Global. It's a financial communications firm acquired by KKR recently. Yeah, so I used to do this type of work on Excel, on PowerPoint, and with the AI development, I genuinely believe that there has to be a better, smarter, and more efficient way to do this.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So it goes and crawls the web and looks through all of the comms, the social updates, brings that into an interface that the stakeholder can sit, look at, and then make business decisions on. Is that the crux of it?
Yes, especially for advisors. So if you think about the role of an advisor, right, like it's not just about, the insights from the data. It's also about the insights that you can get from the network. But if we can, make the first step simpler, then, they can spend more time actually, getting, the insights from the network that can be, from important stakeholders like people who have a stake in the field that they're in. Sometimes it can be some highly regulated industry, for example, sustainability, for example, energy.
That's really interesting. And does it also look internally as well as externally?
I think now we mainly look at external data.
I love it. And then possibly in the future, you could go internally and look at the internal stakeholders that have like possible conversations that need to be had, and then build an interface that allows for a more collaborative experience instead of this kind of like one-way information, right? But moving over, instead of doing that in Excels and PowerPoints and all of these Word docs, you now get it in this cohesive product that people can use on a daily basis.
Yes, yes. Yeah, like right now we want to focus on external data first. That can, already be a challenge. But yeah, I think it would be so amazing if we
How are you
can
getting over that?
have everything together.
As data moves behind paywalls, how are you thinking about like kind of circumventing that, or getting access to proprietary information, or like just understanding like what crawlers you need to use or how to crawl the web? Is it the using the operator from OpenAI, or is it something else entirely?
I think now we are like really using different tools. I think there's always a way to go around to solve the problem. And you're right, because I think a lot of people I talk to who are very interested in the space, or they're thinking about building in the communication space often, will ask questions about, how can you go about for licensing and all that. I think that's why
Mhm.
it's very important to be technically resourceful. Yeah, like, now a lot of times we can always, I think it's about how you progress, right? Like, okay, we can start with something that is basic, and then okay, then it solve a simple problem. Then how can we build a more and more sophisticated system gradually?
I love it. And what's the startup scene on the ground like in London at the moment? I see you running the chapter of is it pitch and run at the moment? Every day, every week running. What's
Oh.
that like? Like, what are the conversations there? Like, the energy must be awesome, especially in the summer. Everyone's out looking for investment, building incredible products. Talk to me around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm co-leading the Founders Running Club in London, and I absolutely love it. We are a group of people who gather together every Saturday to have a run at Regent's Park, and afterwards like we will just have some very genuine and interesting conversations about, what products we like and also what people are working on. For example, recently I met a staff software engineer who is working on the recommendation system at Just Eat. And it's just so nice, when you have this group of people who care about wellness as well as, what they do at their jobs. I love London because it's just this place that has gathered talents from all around the world. It's a very diverse city that I like. I grew up in Hong Kong, and when I was working in the city, it kind of like has that vibes as well. Like people are coming from everywhere, and whenever I go to networking events, no matter then or now, like, it's all about, oh wow, like I can always learn so much from the people I talk to, who are coming from different backgrounds, and I think that diversity really adds a lot of value to what we can build as a company, or what we can, build as a product, because, at the end of the day, I think it's really about how you can, yeah, like, gather all these insights from all around the world. Just like, I think to think about it, right? Like, so I used to work in Shanghai, And at that time, I think my main goal is to understand the digital ecosystem there. And I think like, that understanding and that learning is something that I can carry with me no matter where I go. If you just think about, China has, like what I said, like has 1.4 billion people, and the internet penetration rate is so high that there are 1 billion internet users. And I used to study open innovation. So the concept is that how you can, openly gather intelligence. So sometimes like I still do that, even I'm in London now. If I have some questions to ask, like I don't only use, the international platforms that like everyone in London is using. I can also use Chinese platforms. I think that has become one of my superpower.
That's really interesting. Like this, like being able to use the Chinese applications as well as the UK applications. Do you have a personal favorite? Do you prefer the nice experiences over here, or do you prefer the more utility focused experiences over there?
I have to say, in terms of for the search function, I do
Yep.
prefer Chinese apps. I think like,
Really?
yeah, like the algorithm, like on some of the Chinese social media platforms, it's just so powerful that, for example, on Red Note, if I just post, yeah, like anything, like it can easily recommend you, let's say, people who are like contents that's generated by users who are also based in London. So it's interesting
Mhm.
because now I would walk into a room, walk into, let's say, a hackathon, and people would tell me that I actually saw you online before I met you.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And so actually the recommending system on these platforms is pushing you in London versus pushing you in China.
Yeah, that they're pushing me in London because so for certain platforms, especially Red Notes, there actually there is actually a large base of um users who are based overseas. So I feel like it's such a I love it. I'm able to connect with Asian women, especially from all around the world, no matter if they're in the US or in the UK. And yeah, like now because I've been running different small tests, and I know as a fact that yeah, they're interested in my content. They're interested in having a conversation with me. I always keep
Is the
track of yeah, the data.
is the content helping with the go to market of the product at the moment? Is it have you aligned it towards that, or is it just a disconnect of I'm building a brand for the founder first, and then I'm going to go and build the product? Which one is it?
Hmm. I would say like it is integrated, but it's a very good question because for my first startup, um, it was to help with people on their career anxiety. It started as a mental health platform, and
Hmm.
actually like it was a time that I really used the platform a lot, and it has helped me a lot to speak to my target customers, target audience. And yeah, like till now, the audience base is still there. And people are still trying to be very helpful. I feel so proud and also like grateful that, for example, for my first startup, I was able to find all these great, amazing, talented mentors in all sorts of different fields. For example, who are working at investment bank, at a law firm, or like in tech. And I think till now, like for my current startup, I know that these people are still here. They're still,
Hmm.
watching me, looking at what I'm doing, and I'm still able to seek advice when I need it.
And then I guess raise at some point as well when you decide that that's the right stage to, right? You can go and raise a pre-seed or a seed or a series A, and then you have these people in the network almost like ready to go and like, oh, hey, we can write a check for this, and we can recommend you for this person. Let's get you in front of that. Uh, I like it. So I'm a big fan of the content sphere. It just makes life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I do believe there's a very so I've been in the communications industry for years, and I genuinely believe that there has to be an integrated approach to communications. You can't separate business development, sales, marketing, and PR. Like right
Why?
now, because you want a coherent and consistent story. Like people, you know what I realize, especially young talents, they want to work at a company that's aligned with their values. And you know how you communicate as a company is no longer restricted to, what you release online, as a company. People want stories. People actually want to know, how the management team is, how the leadership team is. And now, like, you see a lot of founders like telling their stories, and, I'm sure you have met a lot of them. And actually, the people who are listening, they care about the stories. They are not, they care about who you are as a person, how you're leading the company. Yeah.
I think an integrated communications concept is super useful, both short term and long term, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't just be, as you said, selling constantly and constantly. There's just, it feels like there's no connection between you and the buyer. And so like building this way of feeling that I'm part of the journey that you're going on, that the customer's going on, that the product's going on, allows for a better buying experience almost, if you know what I mean. And means that like at the end of the day, when you go to close, they feel like they are already a customer, they're already an advocate for the product.
Yeah, I would say like, really having advocates for you and for your company, for whatever that you're doing is key to your success. And I always feel very grateful like for everyone who has helped me in my journey.
Talk to me about the company today. Like when you're thinking about building this product, what does the experience look like? Is it a chatbot that you search in and then it brings in the information and sort of has an artifact similar to Claude or OpenAI? Or is the experience completely different to that? Are you thinking outside the box and not restricting yourself to the chatbot?
Mm-hmm. I don't want to restrict myself to the chatbot. It's about synchronizing intelligence to give you the useful data to map out stakeholders that are relevant to you. And I think, like what I mentioned, right? I used to work in PowerPoint, Excel, and I do believe that, you need to integrate the whatever that you're building into a user workflow. It shouldn't change you you should make their jobs easier. You shouldn't like
Mm-hmm.
disrupt their workflow, right? It's interesting because when we actually started as a contract review tool powered by AI for the renewable energy sector. And
Oh, right.
at that time, we had so many rounds of prototypes, right? Like we are like, this needs to look innovative because it's AI, it has to be blue color, the button has to like look like this and that. And then at the end, like, we literally sat down with lawyers, for rounds and rounds of prototypes. And we realized that they really didn't care. They're like, okay, like I just want you to solve this problem to make me worth, to make my job easier. And please, like I just want everything in Word document. So at the end,
Right.
after like, kind of, prototyping for different, for web apps for a few times. And at the end, we actually decided that, okay, it should be a web plugin. So that's how we started. And it's interesting because I really learned so much before, our, current pivot. And not just that, it was also the time for me to realize how much value the work that I used to do can bring to a company.
Right. And so that pivot has allowed you to really build the experience that they want rather than the experience that you felt they want.
Yeah, I think right now, like my approach is always to, I don't know if you have heard of KISS. keep it simple, stupid.
I have, long time ago, but I think it rings true today as we go off and we try and build these very cool experiences because we can, right? It's like I can have the web page like waves and the chatbot sort of pop off, or like Cluely at the moment in the US, where it's this almost glass panel that sits on top. I think we've got to push the boundaries of UX design, and people are. But then also there are some situations where, like a lawyer, I think you're mentioning that actually don't disrupt, just give them a more powerful tool.
Yeah, yes, I think, ideally, in my own opinion, the user should be able to use the product even without, like this 5 minute tutorial. I think that would be very ideal. And yeah, and also like I want to mention that, in the communications industries, for many years, you have all these tools that that we use, that we have to manually put in keywords. It's literally, sometimes it's interesting because things are not as intuitive as, what people think it would be. Literally some of the work that I used to do was like literally
It's very
putting,
disconnected, very,
yeah,
very disconnected, like grabbing stuff from over here and then over there and trying to put it in a doc and then sharing that doc, collaborating,
exactly.
I assume.
Exactly. Like I would have a list of keywords that I would put together, and I would like, search one keyword, like, and, just keyword by keyword separately on Google, on like, different sort of platforms that we were using. And now, like, I do believe that there has to be a way smarter way to do this, to make it a lot more efficient and more scalable, and so that more founders or more advisors can benefit from it eventually.
I love it. What's the goals for the rest of this year then? Is it to get to a certain amount of MRR or ARR and bring on some new users and reach a certain level?
Yes, that's definitely our goal. So I do have a goal in my mind. We want to form a partnership,
Unbelievably
with,
cool.
yeah, with, I mean, one of the most important firms. I think, I know that to really make this, to really push things forward, like, we can't do it alone. And I do believe that there are a lot of firms out there who are looking for, technical talent to come in to really, help them improve the workflow. A lot of times, you know, consulting industries can actually be quite traditional, right? And, I think there's a lot of benefit, for firms who can have a person who understand the industry, who understand the workflow, plus, they have the technical team, they have the technical knowledge to really come in and yeah, like make certain improvement.
Speaking of like exceptional technical talent, have you been has Soham reached out to you, the guy, the engineer from India that's been moonlighting for multiple YCs in the Valley? Have you seen this on Twitter at the moment?
Yes, yes, I've been following that, and
What's your take on that? Do you think it's something that people should be doing, more engineers should be doing, or is it something that actually don't moonlight, be transparent, and actually be clear on what it is that you can do and what you're outsourcing?
hmm, um, I think it's interesting. Right? I understand why this thing can happen because, I'm in the startup space. I feel like a lot of startups are hiring engineers. They're always looking for engineers, and maybe there aren't enough of them. And sometimes that's why, this kind of accident can happen. I do believe that I want the founding team to be very close and very strong together. I think, without that, it's almost like you're going into a war, right? Maybe I still have my, Chinese philosophy background. I'm sure you have heard of, the book Art of War. And I think no matter what, I think I do want a team to be very close together to, to really to move towards our goal together. So I believe in that a lot more than okay, I need to outsource this, outsource that. Um, Maybe because I was in the communications industry, and when I sat down with executives, leaders of different companies, a lot of the times what people will complain to me about would be about HR problem. And I think if you can take care of the people problem really well, then that, you can run a company a lot more easily.
Yunsu, thank you so much for your time. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm looking forward to doing it again and you hitting those goals and the MRR. And when you do, it's time for you to come back on the show and announce that.
Totally. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's mine. See you soon.
See you.